Is there a support that they can
Really
go
great.
on Army Geniuses to enable the Storm Spirit? I know Grimshark has really been that main one, but is there another one, or you just go down a different route?
Do you hoodwink? I mean, it's okay. You're not great at ganking the mid lane super early on, though, is the only thing, right? So, sorry, the Storm Spirit isn't great at being able to go for these ganks. We still don't know what hero they're going to pick for Exilone in the mid lane as well. I mean, Shadow Demon's already good at making stacks.
Dire team ban.
Omni and Ogre don't really do much for him at
Dire
all.
team pick.
Just has to be that follow-up stun, I suppose. And well, they're just getting rid of all of these storm counters, right? Not necessarily the supports, but three heroes that either catch him out or are able to lane very effectively against it. So really banking on Azura to do the heavy lifting this game.
10 seconds remaining.
Still got an
Radiant
IO,
team
which
pick.
Armin likes to play the pool, but they go for the Bane instead. Okay. It is that mini tiny counter we were talking about.
Got the damage reduction now for the tiny. So BKB is something we're going to be looking at for MKS, of course, if he's
10
picking up the
seconds
tiny, but
remaining.
wonder what the play is. It's definitely going to be a
5
support
seconds
here,
remaining.
but do you want to go for your carry or your offlane with it? Oh, sorry, your two or your offlane.
You'd have to
Radiant
say the mid,
team
right?
pick.
Like you know where the Storm
Ember
Spirit's going to go.
Spirit.
Do Ember Spirit into this? Wow, I'm really surprised.
It's not a free M game at all. I'm very concerned. I think I I'd like a vision
10
here and now on
seconds
RSG
remaining.
because I think you need a way to get rid of the
I'm-
Shadow
I'm-
Demon.
Remaining.
I'm just right. Like we're not going to be interviewing players until playoffs, I assume. But I'm just writing this down for my own. Ask Exilern why he wanted Ember this game because there's a few reasons behind it, right? You can go onto a Bane, you can go onto a Shadow Demon. They can both Nightmare or Disruption to save themselves. It's not like it's a stun and you don't build end-to-ending
Dire
silences
team
either
pick.
for the Ember Spirit. The lane, kind of equivalent, right? Like Storm Spirit, Ember, it can kind of go either way. Just with Ember Spirit able to shove out the lanes a little bit more effectively with the Sleight of Fist. But the big thing for mine is that Demonic Purge coming out from the Shadow Demon, right? You get that onto the
10
Ember Spirit.
seconds remaining.
The Inkswell goes off on top of him. The Flame Guard goes away. You
5
can't escape
seconds
quite as
remaining.
easily because your movement speed is so incredibly slowed. So your Flame Remnants are much, much slower. It really does feel like they're fighting into a lot of adversity here on with this Ember Spirits pick. So I'm keen to know what his mindset was with it after the series.
Well, Farming Geniuses, so they're going to have to be going up against the IO, which is something that we've seen RSG with the addition of Roger, something that they've been picking a little bit more and definitely been playing it to a high success. So maybe an offlaner that can have a little bit of AoE control would be nice for Wami.
That's the big thing, that whenever you're going up against an IO, you want to be as far away from single target as possible. You know, just imagine it, right? Like let's say you've got, I don't know, Hex and Dragon
Radiant team
Tail
ban.
and all these other different things. A simple relocate stops all of that. Whereas AoE, you might prevent with the Arena of Blood the relocate from actually connecting, or you might be able to spear away
Dire
multiple
team
units, or
ban.
just things of that nature. So I like this Mars pick. Whenever I see an IO, I want to see Mars. I want to see Magnus. I want to see, honestly, even like Tiny's kind of okay. Just anything that's able to deal AoE silence or stun.
Night Stalker. Gotta get rid of
10
it.
seconds remaining.
You do not want to leave a Night Stalker into the pool. This is...
Radiant
There we go.
team ban.
Alright, well, don't have to...
Great against Mars, great against Bane, great against Storm, great against Shadow Demon, great with an IO. Yeah,
This
pretty
is
solid
a...
across the board.
This is a pretty good Legion game as well, actually. Saves, yes, but you have press the attack, which is really nice defensively versus Spear, versus
10
Fiend Script.
seconds remaining.
I think the lane combo with the IO is really strong. You have a hero that likes to use the
5
bonus attack
seconds
speed in the
remaining.
press the attack as well. So I think you could consider going down the route here with the Legion.
There's also the argument of like, who do you duel though? because whoever you duel, they're going to be able to get a save off,
Yeah.
whether it be, the Nightmare, the Disruption. On a Mars, if you're dueling him, he's facing you, so you're going to have that bulwark for all the reduced damage. So like, it does go both ways.
Yeah, definitely. I think another route is that from what I can see, Pango is still available, and Zhao Yu plays an
Bane,
exceptional.
though,
Yeah. But it's very good versus the Mars Rolling Thunder. Sorry, versus the Arena, and it gives you another way to be able to start fights. You're very reliant on Ember. Tiny
Dire
can
team ban.
in some way, but I think you just need multiple ways to get rid of the Shadow
Radiant team
Demon.
pick.
Throughout this game. I also like the Slaughter ban. That's kind of cool. We only really see this here unless it's against an anti-mage, or if you do have an IO, then Slaughters are something that teams do consider.
Dire team pick.
they're going to brew? Chaos
Okay.
Knight, okay. Speaking of single target, got a lot of it so far. Really strong lanes. Honestly, yeah, like, I mean, the Tiny's most likely going to go with the IO just to secure his farm. Grimstroke Chaos Knight,
10 seconds
incredibly strong as
remaining.
well.
Hear me out.
Level 2.
We
Mhm.
get our DB
5
Tide
seconds
carry.
remaining.
Look, they need a way to... I don't know, we'll see. What do they go? They go troll. Okay.
Choose your hero.
I was about to say troll. I was
You
so
were...
personally offended
Yeah,
by that.
okay.
I mean, you got to have ranged against the Chaos Knight, right? And they've got the heroes to be able to dive onto you, so you can't afford to go something like a Drow. I think the Medusa was banned out. Arc Warden, pretty crappy hero. Sniper, same sort of annoyance with getting dived on. So yeah, the troll is just a nice pick, I guess.
I think the big reason why I like to troll this game is because you are arguably top 3 laning carries at the moment, even though we don't see the troll warlord often. And the big thing about the Chaos Knight is his strength is the laning phase. Zhao Yu's going to have a very good time on this
10
hero,
seconds
especially if
remaining.
you're with Roger on the IR, even the Grimstroke, it doesn't matter. Those are
5
two
seconds
very good laning
remaining.
supports to be able to amplify the CK. So going for the Troll Warlord will kind of minimize the pick and the value that they were going to get out of his laning phase. I'm a bit concerned. I think Soulbind has ridiculous value this game against the Storm. If you leash him versus someone, he can't zip. Against a Troll, he's going to need BKB. He can kind of get kited. So I think this game is very, very heavily on the supports.
What DB is going to go as well? Is this a Battle Fury game? Is this more of a Maelstrom game? Oh, actually, this might even be like an Aghanim Scepter game for the Troll Warlord. That'd be very interesting to be able to have that, just to be able to have the dispel. But the big thing is just reducing the cooldown on the melee whirling axis is what I'm looking at, right? Because you're going to be coming up against a Tiny, wants to right click you. You're coming up against those Chaos Knight illusions. You want to make sure they're as blinded as possible. I really wouldn't hate to see it.
My only concern is that you might fall behind in farm because Tiny, 15 minutes, you get your farming a steroid. And for the Troll Warlord, you kind of have to itemize into that. If you go Ags, it's a little bit, but if you lose a couple of fights and all of a sudden Tiny's going to propel in net worth, and then your late game might be difficult to be able to 1v1 him.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I just feel like the reason that you would go troll Ags is to be able to win those team fights. You're not going to Ags and then just sit back in the jungle. You need to make sure that you're joining the rest of your team, getting a couple of
Prepare
those
for
early
battle.
pickoffs, transitioning it into towers, which a troll does a pretty good job of taking, and then maybe you can farm a little bit after that. But I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. I think it would work, to be honest, just because of specifically the heroes that they're up against. Even just the dispel, right, with the ranged axes to be able to get rid of Flame Guard, Inkswell. Be very nice.
Happy birthday, Zhao Yu. I don't know if that's a troll. Some people like to say happy birthday when it's truly not their their birthday, I should say.
I've got a friend of mine from uni. Every single time we see him, we wish him a happy birthday.
There you go.
So
Yeah.
happy birthday, Henry.
Okay. Happy birthday, Henry. Happy birthday as well for Zhao Yu once again. We'll see how on his
30
birthday,
seconds to battle.
if he's able to... Do you get plus 10 power in regards to your... in the games you play on your birthday, or no? Or is it just...
I mean, they gave him last pick, so they give him a little bit of a present.
or maybe he's
So he's
holding the
first game possible.
the team hostage, saying it's my birthday. Like, if you don't, I'm a rage.
Wonka.
Oh, God.
Don't want an angry birthday boy, that's
The
for sure.
battle begins.
Well, I suppose Wami could have always speared or got rebuked away the eye, but Wami just walked past Roger and easily took the bounty rune. So there we go. We got a 3-for-1 favoring Army Geniuses. It looks like it's going to be the Io paired with the Tiny in the lane, and we do have the Grimstroke with the Chaos Knight in the lane.
Alright, so I'd say this top lane is much more likely to be where a lot of the action is happening. So let's have a look at what the CSing is like, who's going to be able to get those vital denies, and who hits the level 2 sooner. Because for both teams, it's pretty damn important, right? The kill potential. Oh, actually, they might even go to level 1. Inside the trees, though, it'll be a little bit challenging. Yeah, he needs to make sure he's getting the Nightmare up on Varese just to be able to stop that chain damage potential. And of course, RSG, they're wanting to go for a lot of these kill attempts.
They also have a decent amount of magic damage in this lane with the double nuke from, well, I should say the one nuke from Xiao Yu, but Xiao Bomb Bomb once he gets level 2. So it's not really like the Whirling Axes is going to minimize a whole lot of this damage.
But the Nightmare will, right? You're always going to be able to time it to dodge out the Inkswell popping.
See if they're able to find that level 2 before Varese does. We saw Xiao Bomb Bomb before, tried to put some emphasis on securing the range creep. This time he will not, so they're going to lose the experience from that.
Really nice zoning done there by Varese, doing the thing that I love when supports just put themselves up, look to harass out, but they make sure that they eat a tango before they do it. Like, he's doing it again, right? Wanting to get maximum usage out of this. And they're even the ones starting to bully out Xiao Yu a little bit. Very nicely done so far in this laning stage by Army Geniuses.
Bottom lane, there's some aggression. Roger, oh no, MKS actually eats his spear, but Roger's still just going to tick to the poison. As Narman and Wanmi combining their abilities together early. We're speaking about top and how important that level 2 spike is going to be, but Army Genius just showed down bottom that they've got their own spike in levels.
Varese, he's now level 2, so he just needs to make sure that he's not the one getting caught out by a lot of this aggression, right? You don't want to get the unlucky maximum stun, or for you at least, with the Chaos Bolt, and guarantee that the Inkswell goes off. It's to make sure he's there for the Nightmare save. So the best way to do that is to not be in the lane. Go for these pulls.
And our mid matchup looking relatively even at the moment. Exilin against Azura. We've spoken a lot about how Exilin can somehow edge out a victory, even in pretty tricky lane matchups.
Been pretty similar with Azura, though, especially in recent times, right? So I'm really keen to see how this one shapes out.
Yeah, I think with all the aggression we're going to have in the side lanes, it won't be really many support rotations to maybe help out with the water runes or get those power runes as Scylla. He might drop. They got another Vortex. Should got another Overload if need be, but nice. You see Exilin playing with his own creep wave with the early point in the chain, so nicely done. And maybe he's going to make the trip back to base on Azura.
I don't think you can afford to. This creep wave pushing in at a pretty decent rate, although he's got the Flame Guard, a few more points in that to be able to more actively contest up into Azura. He going to go for the dive? No, but he cops a couple of tower hits. Might end up costing him a fair amount.
They might backstab. Look at Narman's rotations early. Yeah, Azura, you might be able to banish and get the Remnant directly on top. But as soon as they see the IO TPing in, they will stop that attempt.
Level 3 didn't go for
lane,
the early
DB.
pop.
Might end up going down. Stroke of Fate. Off the mark. Nice side set from DB, but it doesn't matter. A second point in the Chaos in the Chaos Bolt means that Xiao Yu can find their first kill of the game for RSG.
Eventually they get it. Unfortunately for RSG, it's not the first blood, but still the objective obtained. And the thing is, Varese, he can't even just come straight back into this lane and make sure he's getting these few last hits to make sure that he's not putting himself in harm's way against the Chaos Knight. Doesn't have the point in the Reality Rift just yet. I suppose he is a little bit short on the mana department, so might just look to emphasize the Chaos Bolt and the Chaos Strike.
They don't have the hard camp as well to reset the equilibrium. They're going to glyph the wave. What's going on? Mid lane, Exilin A lot of damage on Azura, but he can't take the tower now after the creeps are killed off. It's a interesting build that Excellent's going for as well. It's a 1-1-3 build. We see sometimes, honestly, even in a lot of matchups nowadays, the Ember Spirit might actually get a kill chain. So now Xiao Bonbon's going to move over to mid. That's a great rotation from the Grimstroke, but Slide's still on cooldown. But it will not matter. The last right click from Xiao Bonbon gets a big kill over on Azura.
A little bit late with the TP coming through from Varese there. Almost would have been able to secure the save for the Storm Spirit. Fortunately for him, he's just going to have to trudge his way back up towards the top side. I guess really just wanting to put himself a little bit more onto the front lines is Exilern, because early on, Tiny, Chaos Knight, they don't really do it. They're the follow-up damage coming through. So he just wants to make sure that he survives for as long as possible, and Flame Guard's going to enable him to do that. The important thing is, though, he needs to either immediately pop Narman or stay away from him entirely.
Perfect.
Lummy's having a very good lane down bottom. 29 and 6. Oh, actually in the river, what's going on? Exilern has the level 6. Actually got to try and stand his ground off the back of the Inkswell. They don't get the stun connection. Now Narman wants to enter the fight. A beautiful banishment giving Azura enough breathing room. Do they go for the dive? Azura's got a decent amount of mana to work with. If Xiao Bonbon reveals himself, they might consider it, but Azura doesn't have the health.
So Varese actually had 4 mangoes coming out to him, with him at the start of the game. So I think he fed at least 2 over to Azura just then to maybe enable the additional dive, but doesn't end up happening. Look at how much emphasis they're putting on this mid lane as well, just with the Observer Wards. Covering both power runes. Does feel like it could change the outcome of this matchup, how much either Azura or Exilern are able to do with some of their early rotations. And you would have to assume that the bigger rotation that they want to make is towards the Troll Warlord, just because any kind of timing that you're able to slow down on him, he's not like a Tiny, right? He doesn't just have this inbuilt farming mechanic with the tree throw.
Yeah, sees top of the net worth. DB does have the Battle Fury queued up as well, so having a very good lane. We've already seen him once today go down the Battle Fury route. Of course, that was with the Phantom Assassin, pretty much the core build on him. Troll's a little bit different, but with the strong start he's had, we'll see if he's going to be able to continue this and hit another very good Battle Fury timing.
Very clever by Roger there, actually. So he messes up the small pool, and then to be able to fix it, he makes sure he's got the projectile from the Ghost flying to him in the air, and then he tethers to a creep so that it hits him and still aggroes it underneath the tower.
RSG, look at this head. Trying to enter the jungle. There's a couple of stacks, nothing crazy. Just a double of the hard that Xiaoyu wants to take out. Narman has ran into Roger though. 3 points in poison. But he will not have enough time to be able to stack them up. Meanwhile, back to the outpost as Xiaoyu kills off Varese. DB's not really in fighting shape, but Azura, well, he definitely is. Zips into the middle, but he's still going to be cautious. Controls on cooldown, so RSG won't have a way to lock in Azura to get that kill.
Protect as many of these stacks as possible, but not going to be able to do so. Both a Storm and a Troll Warlord, who, again, is going into that Battle Fury. Whereas that want to take maximum advantage out of that. And well, speaking of cores, MKS is going for the Moonshard build. So just wanting to get nice and aggressive early. For those that aren't aware, this was originated in China Division 2 with Dandelion Esports Club. The team that actually went undefeated, I believe.
That's Shylock?
Yep.
Yeah. And then we saw Arme do it a couple times, and since then it's been started to occur a little bit more often. Looks like teams are just, and more in particular, I should say, players are starting to register if they like this build, if they feel like it's... I can't imagine it's something you would go every game, but something that at least gives you some more versatility in regards to your itemization and a different route you can go down.
It's a replacement for the Echo Saber, basically. And whenever you've got an IO on your team, you don't need to worry as much about the mana regen component that the Echo Saber provides you. So it just means that you can get active and consistently stay active in a lot of these team fights and tower pushes.
And that's the main thing, staying active across the map, getting gold, getting experience, putting pressure on the map, slowing down the enemy team from getting farm or getting whatever they need. Always look towards how you can keep yourselves afloat. Xiao Bonbon is gonna move over from the tree line. You sprung the trap by the rune. Beautifully done. It was bottom. Exilin was able to snag that. MKS is going to be okay. A purge out from Narman, but Wami didn't want to use the arena. Felt like they didn't have the damage to kill off the Tiny.
He would have been correct. They absolutely did not have the damage still at this stage.
Under attack.
Oh, it's just so challenging, right? Once he hits that grow, we'll have the first Hyperstone coming out to him shortly. So, good way to speed up the farm. I suppose another reasoning for it is that you can you can hit this really big item timing and the Aghanim Shard right at the 15-minute mark, and it just feels like it synergizes better than an Echo Saber and like a Blitz Knuckles, for example, before you're having to go into the Aghanim Shard. So rather than having like 1 and a bit items, you've got one really strong item.
Lane Fiend's group for Reese steps in, and with Azura nearby, they've got the magic damage to get rid of Exilern. That's his second death this game, and Army Geniuses, they're actually going to instantly smoke. The duo support looking to transition their way to top, where they do have DB currently in the lane.
Radiant are scanning.
Xiaoyu's still out pretty aggressively. Radiant, they just scanned bottom, I believe. Xiaoyu, let's see if he stays for another wave. He's going to do just that, and I do not believe the Chaos Knight makes it out of this one. They've got the relocate if they want to bring the numbers. They're starting to TP up. And Xiaoyu's pretty tanky. He's got some sick charges as well.
Coming.
And now here we go. RSG.
Right on DB.
Uh-oh, straight to the backline as MKS gets a beautiful double avalanche. For the poisons along with the damage, Xiaoyu's going to tick out. But the trade, it should be worth it for RSG. The control's lacking, but maybe they can chase down Azura. Tosses him under the tier 1 tower. Azura dodges the chains, and now with the arena, Wami first one of the game is perfect. All they needed was the control on MKS, and DV can do the work. Pummeling into the life of the Tiny, taking away the position 1. But still, they're going to be a bit cautious here. Excellent. It's 3 points in the ink swell, so the damage is a lot.
Auto trans.
Remnant in and out he goes, but now Excellent. He's forced himself to stay in the neighborhood, not going for a defensive use of the Remnant, just wanted the kill and hope he could run away, but Army Geniuses cancel that attempt.
What are these crazy teams doing? You know, diving towers at this point in the game. Io didn't have the TP to be able to rejoin after the fact, and well, he's actually going to end up feeding his life to the Storm Spirit there. So, Roger not having quite as much of the presence in that previous team fight that he would have been wanting. Key thing as well is Varese. He was part of that that movement up towards the top side. He's only got 6 out of his 7 skill points allocated right now. I think you can still go the 4th into the Nightmare. I need to see the Enfeeble though at the level 8, right? Because you've got this Tiny. He's probably going to have the Moon Shard, and then a good way towards that Aghanim Shard for himself to just be that constant presence in team fights. But the important thing is he won't have the BKB for a little bit of time. So that Enfeeble is going to have an insane amount of value unless Xiao Bonbon immediately looks to buy up the Aghanim Shard and preemptively places it onto the Tiny. I really do feel like he's just going to be putting it onto Ember Spirit or Chaos Knight instead, right, for the offensive potential, rather than just preventing the 8-second Enfeeble onto a Tiny.
Wami, Blink Reveal, Azura instant jump to follow suit. Xiaoyu, I don't think you kill Wami. Azura's going to be a little bit too late. In fact, Wami actually wants to drop the arena. And they're busy doing other things. They need a Fiend Script answer, but a Banishment prevents the Remnant in. It will not matter. Roger offering the sustain, but Army Geniuses, they want to take the fight still. The magic damage enough to get rid of the life of the Chaos Knight. Now DB and Azura turns towards the Io. The 2-for-1. Exilon in the backline. He's got no Remnants. We see the issue of the Shadow Demon into this matchup. Exilon, difficult to evade away from the attempt. He's going to try and play off the back of this slight Remnant up to the high ground, but he doesn't get enough distance. Up to 4 poison stacks, and he'll tick out afterwards as Wami slams the shield down on the face of the Ember.
DB was able to get very active in that team fight as well. Bunch of assists, but he has the Battle Fury as well, so he's He's going to be able to start to accelerate this farm.
MKS might be in trouble. Gonna go for a TPR to 0. Do they have the vision? Wowee, that would have been a big kill.
Just slowing down that timing again on the Aghanim Shard. It would have been with that kill. Just look at how quickly you're able to take these stacks. It's going to be even faster, consistent farming potential. You'll see with his quick buy, he's going into that blink dagger after the fact. Come on, no, he put the third point in the brain sap. Enfeeble Varese, you need it.
Well, with all this going on, DB, it's another pretty good Battle Fury timing. Treads one, couple of branches. I'm not sure exactly when he got it. It must be pretty recent. Doesn't have another item.
It was
Okay,
right
never
before
mind.
that team fight at bot.
Yeah, okay. He's got Blade of Alacrity. So, yeah, he is very, very farmed. And this is the exact position you want to be in. Because if you get a late Battle Fury, then all of a sudden the Tiny can kind of excel with having a farming steroid a little bit earlier. So, this is
he will out-carry you.
a great position for the Troll to be in.
Locking out there is Exilon, getting the haste rune at top. Still not too much tower pressure going on this game, though. Only one taken out from both sides. You'd have to assume that MKS, he's the one that's going to be looking to get active. Now that he's got this Aghanim Shard delivered, doesn't need to worry about the, honestly, even the blink for this next tiny little bit of time because he's got the Io playing around him. It's just about accelerating the farm faster than what a Troll Warlord can, even with the Battle Fury.
Are they going to think about Roche? They have 4 points
Kick
of
off,
Reality Rift, so a little bit of minus armor. Orb Corrosion as well. Reality Rift works on Roche, right?
What?
Reality Rift, the minus armor, works on Roche, yeah?
I'd imagine it would.
Yeah. I think there's a handful that don't. They're gonna try and take the fight. Roche is soon to fall. Wommy jumps in, but a little bit too late. Age is picked up on MKS. Can they still take the team fight afterwards? Azura's gonna pounce, but Roger waiting in the wings gets the save. Xiao Yu's not gonna tick out. In fact, the Chaos Knight goes back in, and look at MKS. What an avalanche! Oh my god, the Tiny! That's a hell of a combo. MKS just walks into them, and that's all he needed. No blink, no shadow blade, just the good old-fashioned walk into the middle, drop the combo, 4 down, and they lose no one on RSG.
They lose no one, and they've still got the Aegis as well. The speed that MKS is able to farm and push towers, especially with the assistance of this Io. I mean, just have a look at him. He got that gigantic combo off. He was using spells all throughout that team fight. Still at full mana. That's all on the back of this Io, who, luckily enough, he's also got the Arcane Ring for himself. It's even a mechanism that they've got too coming through. So a lot of this burst damage that you've got is going to be nullified.
Huge spike now for RSG. Not only did you have the Ages, but the influx of items. Mech, Blink on Tiny. What else we got? Blink, I believe, just completed on Xiaoyu as well. And they're actually going to continue to take the fight as Exilon runs into Wommy in the lane. They also get the stun, so the Soulbind follow-up. Disastrous for the lads on Army Geniuses, and now they're even going to chase down for more. Go to the wrong direction, however. Nice read from Varese. To the south he goes. Maybe tier 2 could be in trouble.
I think you're at the very minimum popping a glyph here. Yeah. MKS is just way too much to deal with right now.
They might be able to set up on bottom. I don't know how they took this tier 2 bottom, but apparently it's gone. When did they get that?
Just DB, just pushing.
Okay. That's a big tower. Not something you would expect. Troll taking objectives at the early stages. It's a bit awkward until you're able to find some items. So get their first tier 2 tower of the game. Outpost could be a potential now for Army Geniuses, but yeah, this net worth lead's continuing to grow, and you still have 2 minutes 40 on the Ages.
It's going to be so vital for him to just not be kited around a lot of these team fights. The Shadow Demon is going into the Aghanim Shard, which is going to be great. Demonic Cleanse against the Ember Spirit in particular. Even just the Reality Rift, removing that minus armor from yourself. But yeah, it's really going to be that BKB that's the real timing for DB. Not wanting to get caught up in any kind of avalanche or Chaos Knight stuns.
Oh, they see DB. Just walked underneath the ward. They have their own ward on the high ground, so they're going to see if RSG start to posture aggressively throughout the triangle, but they force out the glyph prize. This should be a tier 2 tower being killed off mid, and MKS is actually considering high ground. They're going to force them back, and there's going to be a lot of damage.
Very balanced. He's got the level 15 talent for the grow bonus damage. He's got an IO backing him up with the overcharge, and that's a tier 3 tower gone in less than 10 seconds.
And I like the respect as well, because it's still a position that you don't really want to take a fight in. Like, Wami could pin him up to the barracks, and all of a sudden you're a little bit away from being able to retreat out. He could also use the arena on the stairs, so there's just no way you could get out unless you wanted to relocate. So I just like the respect. Get the tier 3, get out. They might get DB bottom, though. Xiaoyu's going to jump. The chain control has to be perfect, and it looks like it's going to be just that as MKS follows up after the relocate. Seemed like there was a slither of opportunity, but now RSG actually zipped to the backline of Azura, trying to target down, but Roger sent back. So both supports are going to be fine, and RSG, now they're pouncing to the high gun as MKS. A double stun, but importantly, Azura's out of mana. So if they want to commit onto the T2 tower, Exilian has a couple of remnants to play with, even popping a BKB just to protect himself. Blinks up in a second for MKS. He's going to go past the tower. Doesn't matter. 4 down. And this was the RSG that we come to love in Division 2. They are looking mighty clean.
Yeah, for sure. It just feels to me like they haven't punished this Tiny at all. He is just able to sit back, get those farms he wanted, and yeah. Don't really care too much about it, even just getting the IO's assistance with the overcharge. Creeps are going to push in shortly enough, but how do you contest up into this? I can understand Army Geniuses, they didn't want to take the fights until the Troll Warlord has the BKB, but it was kind of forced into them, right? Just by the use of that relocate and a good rotation coming through from Xiao Bonbon and Xiao Yu.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
What are we looking for now for Army Geniuses? Because they're 10,000 deficit, and definitely not the position they'd hope to be in this game. But is there anything on the horizon that might help out? As Wami relocates on cooldown for another 5. He might be able to TP up, but I think the Phantasm damage is something that Wami cannot handle. Blink up shortly. Xiaoyu's got his own blink up as well. Is he going to guess correctly to the north? They're both trailing. But Wami's okay. Now back to mid lane. Both sides posturing next to each other, almost a stalemate.
To answer your question, BKB Mars, BKB Troll Warlord, and Aghanim Shard shadowed him, and they're the next 3 big things. They're all going to come within the next couple of minutes, but you're up against a Tiny. Level 18, Silver Edge for gank potential, Relocate for gank potential, and just so much tower damage.
They're waiting, though. Zero and Varese in the tree line, looking to spring the trap, but Radiant, they do not want to push down bottom. They're considering of still playing in the neighborhood, but they know they've lost this Aegis advantage, and they are very close to some items. About 500 gold for Xiao Bonbon for the Dark Portrait. They're not grouped up.
Wami realizes how important it is. He sold 3 different items to be able to buy that BKB for himself.
Xiaoyu jumps in the lane. They're onto DB. They need a way to be able to protect him. Zip to the backline with the counter initiation, but the stun's out somehow.
Nice Arena.
Some way they stunned him. Arena, but it doesn't matter without the Storm Spirit. They don't have a way to answer the Fiend Script over the tether. It's not enough for the regen, but Army Geniuses, they need to retreat. They need an avenue out of this. DB will just find one, but you bore back on the Storm Spirit. A long zip in onto MKS.
That'll be worth it.
They have at least the inks while MKS getting the dispel, the detection, the spirits off the mark, but they get the kill nonetheless. Down to the south, there's actually Xiaoyu back in the middle, trying for Wami, Bulwark, putting up the shields, and Wami blinks away. Is it a pricey commitment?
Wami? Wami, surely not. You're not going to go back into this, are you?
That's an agony. Hitting from behind. Oh, the crit. One more. Does he get it? Wami. He's got no mana.
Close. Is a couple of buybacks expended, though. Sure, you kill the Tiny. Very important, right? But it's not even the biggest streak that you ended up giving over. Actually, I guess it kind of is. The amount of gold was 630 plus nearly 600 for the rest of the team. But now you're into that Aghanim's Scepter for your Grimstroke. depends who it's really hitting onto, right? Because you're going to get that cleave potential coming through from the Battle Fury. If you're not microing it effectively, it might just end up dying really fast in these team fights. Pinging them out. They're walking underneath this ward. Varese is going to be able to de-ward. I know they need to be a little bit more carefully. They know exactly where you are.
Kind of smoke. They can always relocate in.
I think they smoked underneath this ward here. Sure, RSG aren't expecting that Geniuses would have had the time to place a deep ward like that, so they're just looking to set up right at the top of any kind of choke point.
It's a wraparound.
On the right-hand side.
They got the ward. They see DP farming. Exilion's gonna start. They need to get rid of the Shadow Demon. A valuable target. They'll do just that. But the Soul by unleashing the Storm and the Troll together. Grimstroke's being killed off, but it looks like it doesn't matter as Army Geniuses. They've got no way to be able to stand their ground. DB's chased down. He's got a Battle Trance still to play with a root the last second, but Xia Yu drags him away, and Wami's too late with the combo. Now he's committed into the middle. He bought back as well. A BKB just delaying the inevitable is ultra kill for MKS. And I mean, they might walk it down. You see they ping it out, and Varese will call it quits. The G's are there, and RSG will take game one.
Yeah, they saw the smoke and they had the right idea with their positioning, but they only blocked off one of those avenues up. The right-hand stairs were just completely open for any kind of rotation to be brought through. I didn't quite see at the end of the game if they had any kind of Observer Sentry Ward combination, but if you're putting a Shadow Demon onto the front lines, it really dampens the effectiveness of that hero. And unfortunately for Naaman, he was just taken out of the team fight before he was able to do anything realistically. So very nice performance by RSG, but it did feel like Army Geniuses, they saw the Tiny, they saw what they were up against, and they didn't quite address it.
Yeah, and for RSG, I mean, it's still proving their dominance as well, especially against Army Geniuses. Of course, it is only just game one. It's a best of two. We'll see what Army Geniuses can do to hit back, but very impressed. Again, this is something that they've been able to add into the arsenal with Roger joining the team. It opens up their drafts a little bit more. We've seen the IRAs picked up multiple times, and they really, really play around the IRA exceptionally well. You've got Exilion that can start fights. You have Xia Yu that can start fights as well. It's just awesome to see the prioritization, and somehow also the supports get a lot of farm. But for RSG, a really, really solid showing in our game one. It's just a question if Army Geniuses can be able to hit back in game two. But any closing comments before we go to the break?
I just want to see in the next game if the IO is going to slip through as far as it did, because both Army Geniuses and RSG like to play the IO. So the fact that it got through to the second phase of picks is honestly a little bit surprising to me, especially when you consider there was a Tiny picked up first phase and a Storm Spirit. So I think that should be something that'll be set to be modified a little bit, but I still think we're in for an entertaining game two.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, we saw our game two in the last series. Game one was a little bit one-sided, then game two, we went 60 minutes, and we'll see if that's going to be a similar case, and we'll see if Army Geniuses can tie the series after the break.